World League of American Football redirects here. The World League of American Football, later renamed NFL Europe and then NFL Europa, was a professional American football league which operated between 1991 and 2007. It was backed by the National Football League, the largest league in the United States. Each season culminated with the World Bowl. The World League of American Football was founded in 1991 to serve as a type of spring league. 7 of the 10 teams were based in North America, and the other 3 in Europe. This format lasted for 2 seasons, with no league in 1993 and Euro 94. The WLAF returned in 1995 with 6 teams, all in Europe, and in 1998 the league was rebranded as the NFL Europe League or NFL Europe, until 2006. For the league's last season, 2007, it officially changed its name to NFL Europa. Players in NFL Europa were predominantly assigned by NFL teams who wanted these younger, developmental players to get additional game experience and coaching. The NFL assumed the expenses of players and coaches living in Europe. The European 6-team format was maintained for 12 seasons, from 1995 to Euro 2007, but by 2007 5 teams were based in Germany. On June 29, 2007, the NFL announced the end of NFL Europa. History: a previous proposed league in the 1970s, the Intercontinental Football League, had contained many elements of the eventual All-European League. West German entrepreneur Adalbert Wetzel and sports coach Bob Kapp secured the release of several NFL players to the IFL for a planned 1975 season. The IFL would have involved teams in Barcelona, Rome, West Berlin, Munich, Vienna and Istanbul, but was cancelled due to economic and political problems. World League of American Football. The World League of American Football was formed in 1989, by a unanimous vote of NFL owners, as a spring developmental league, the brainchild of Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. This came after the NFL had played popular American Bowls in London's Wembley Stadium and elsewhere since 1986. Of the 28 NFL teams, 26 paid $50,000 each in startup costs for the WLAF. Team payrolls and budgets were controlled by the WLAF office, but not all teams were owned by the league. In May 1992 it owned 5 and part owned 3. The WLAF was set up as a professional American football league for North America and Europe, 6 teams from the United States, 3 European teams, and 1 Canadian team. In 1991 parties in Moscow and Japan expressed an interest in additional franchises. Others were initially proposed in Mexico City, Milan, Paris and possibly Asia, but were never formed. Teams were aligned in 3 divisions: North American West, Birmingham Fire, Sacramento Surge, San Antonio Riders; North American East, Montreal Machine, New York New Jersey Knights, Orlando Thunder, Relaya Euro Durham Skyhawks; European, Barcelona Dragons, Frankfurt Galaxy, London Monarchs. The WLAF played 2 seasons in the spring of 1991 and 1992, with 10 teams playing a 10-game regular season with a World Bowl championship game. Rules unique to WLAF included assigning increasing point value to field goals based on distance, and a requirement that at least one player of non-US nationality participate in at least every other series of downs. New ideas were successfully tested, like using the 2-point conversion rule also on the professional field before adopting it in the NFL in 1994. Other minor tweaks in gameplay, such as a shorter kickoff tee, were also first used in the WLAF. Several technical innovations, such as helmet-mounted cameras and one-way radios, enabling coaches to tell plays directly to quarterbacks, were also developed. Average game attendance was 25,361. The original WLAF was barely noticed in the United States, having a minor league or developmental image, and low TV ratings. At London, Barcelona, Frankfurt and Montreal, crowds surpassed early expectations. The Monarchs' home attendance led the league, and the Wembley 1991 World Bowl was attended by 61,108. In May 1991, the LA Times' Chris Dufresne said American fans were less likely than Europeans to shell out hard-earned dollars for games featuring roster-cut leftovers, and suggested there was a post-USFL backlash in Orlando, Birmingham, and San Antonio. The WLAF lost $7 million in 1991. The playoff format consisted of 4 teams, the 3 divisional champions, plus a wild card with the best overall non-division winning record. The 2 teams emerging from the WLAF semi-final playoffs met at the end of the season in the World Bowl. The first 2 World Bowl locations were predetermined before the season. Operations of the WLAF were suspended after the 1992 season as the league lost money and the involved NFL owners were not willing to invest more. However, the NFL still needed another pro football league to help their cause in the antitrust and free agency lawsuit with the National Football League Players Association. 1991 season. The 3 Europe-based teams dominated in 1991, with a combined 24-6 record, while no North American team managed better than 5-5. The London Monarchs won the World Bowl. The Raleigh-Durham Skyhawks lost all 10 games and ultimately their franchise, which was moved to Ohio for 1992. Playoffs: Barcelona 10, Birmingham 3. London 42, New York New Jersey 26, World Bowl 91, London 21 Barcelona 0, 1992 season. The season was confirmed to go ahead on October 23, 1991, 6 months before it kicked off. In 1992, fortunes changed and none of the European teams had winning seasons. Despite this, the European fans remained loyal, but the NFL owners suspended the WLAF after the season. Paul Tagliabue mentioned plans bring it back with only European teams, possibly in 1994. British sports writer Matt Tench cited an ambivalence on the part of the NFL owners. They wanted a spring league but did not want to create a rival to the NFL. In the end they did not create enough of a rival. The Sacramento and San Antonio franchises left the WLAF and were set to join the Canadian Football League in 1993. San Antonio folded prior to the season but the Sacramento Gold Miners did play in the CFL for 3 years, starting the CFL USA initiative created in the wake of the WLAF's suspension. Playoffs: Orlando 45, Birmingham 7. Sacramento 17, Barcelona 15, World Bowl 92, Sacramento 21, Orlando 17, 1995 comeback. After 1992, the World League was suspended for 2 years. The Spring Developmental League had enough NFL support to continue, but without American teams. New teams were announced in July 1994, and the third WLAF season began in April 1995. The 1995 WLAF was based entirely in Europe, and was reduced to 6 teams. The 3 existing European teams were joined by 3 new teams in Amsterdam, Darwin, Düsseldorf and Edinburgh. In the wake of Fox's new contract to broadcast NFL games, Fox became a co-owner of the WLAF and a major financial contributor, in return for broadcasting rights. The relaunched league was sponsored by Reebok, which also manufactured team uniforms. All 6 teams played in a single division. By playing each other twice, the WLAF's regular season lasted for 10 games, as it had in 1991 and Euro 92. Under the new format, the World Bowl championship game was between the first-half league leader and end-of-season league leader. The first-half champion also hosted the World Bowl. This selection process was abandoned after the 1997 World Bowl. League attendances averaged less than 15,000. The London Monarchs left Wembley for reasons of cost, size and availability, moving to White Hart Lane for the 1995 and 1996 seasons. The league was unhappy with White Hart Lane's 93-yard-long field, nowhere near enough to hold a full 100 yards and 2 10-yard end zones. The Monarchs moved to Stamford Bridge in 1997. 1996 season. The 1996 season was confirmed to go ahead before World Bowl 95, 10 months before the 1996 kickoff. In 1996, more than 100 players with World League experience played in the NFL. In 1996, London signed former NFL star William Perry and the Claymores kicker was Scotland rugby captain Gavin Hastings. 1997 season. By the end of the 1997 season, there were growing concerns that WLAF markets, except Germany, were not living up to their potential. Average attendance for the Monarchs was around 10,000 in 1995, a Euro 97. Radical changes were made to the two British teams. The London Monarchs would become the England Monarchs, playing home games in London, Birmingham and Bristol and switching their colours from blue, gold and red to red, white and black. Also, the Scottish Claymores would divide their schedule between Edinburgh and Glasgow. Then, at a press conference in San Diego during Super Bowl XXXI weekend, the league announced it too would be changing. The league would be rebranded as NFL Europe. NFL Europe. Starting in 1998, the league was known as NFL Europe. Qualification for the World Bowl Championship game also changed. The two teams with the best overall record after 10 games competed in the World Bowl, to be hosted at a predetermined site. A team could no longer secure a World Bowl berth midway through the season. The change was largely attributed to the play of the eventual 1997 World Bowl champions, the Barcelona Dragons, who secured a World Bowl berth with a 4-1 first-half record and proceeded to rest players and play what some argued was low-intensity football in the second half, finishing with just a 5-5 record and third place overall in the league's standings. In the late 1990s, two future NFL star quarterbacks were active in the European League. Kurt Warner played for the Amsterdam Admirals in 1998, with Jake Delhomme as his backup quarterback. Delhomme played at the Frankfurt Galaxy the following season in an unorthodox two-quarterback system with Pat Barnes, with the Galaxy winning the 1999 World Bowl. The NFL Europe era was beset by instability, but NFL Europe president Oliver Luck was well past being concerned with the short term, and claimed attendances were less vital to revenues than before 1998. However, the England Monarchs were shut down after the 1998 season, being replaced by the Berlin Thunder. In 2002, the Barcelona Dragons became an official section of FC Barcelona, adopting the name FC Barcelona Dragons. However, after only 1 year, Barcelona dropped its sponsorship. The NFL was not interested in keeping the franchise alive, and replaced it with the Cologne Centurions for the 2004 season. The Scottish Claymores, one of the three teams added to the league in 1995, were also discontinued in 2004, and replaced by the Hamburg Sea Devils, being established for the 2005 season. With this change, 5 of the 6 teams in the league's final incarnation were from Germany, with 1 from the Netherlands, leading some of the league's detractors to refer to it as NFL Deutschland or NFL Germany. Even speculating that the Admirals were only still in the Netherlands because they had won World Bowl 13, and it wouldn't look good if the league moved its champions, or simply to justify its European identity by keeping one team outside the German borders. German teams, unsurprisingly, won all 7 World Bowl championships between 1998 and 2004. In 2005, the total attendance at the 30 games was 568,935, and the average attendance of 18,965 was the highest since 1992. On the other hand, TV contracts were cancelled as a result of teams moving out of the countries they were based upon, such as the NFL EL deal with satellite TV platform Digital Plus in Spain after the demise of the Barcelona Dragons. In 2006, the league's schedule opened and closed 1 month earlier than normal because of the 2006 FIFA World Cup, which was played at 4 of the 5 German stadiums that hosted NFL Europa teams. Only the LTU Arena in Darwin-Düsseldorf was not chosen to host World Cup matches, and that stadium hosted the World Bowl that year. NFL Europa cessation of operations. On September 11, 2006, NFL Europe officially rebranded itself as NFL Europa to reflect the name of Europe in most European languages including Dutch and German. NFL Europe continued to be used informally in the United States, including for the league's English-language website, nfleurope.com. On June 29, 2007, NFL officials announced that the NFL Europa League would be disbanded effective immediately. The announcement came less than a week after the Hamburg Sea Devils beat the Frankfurt Galaxy 37-28 in World Bowl 15 in Frankfurt in front of a crowd of 48,125. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell thanked the fans for their support but said it was time to develop a new international strategy, terming the move to fold NFL Europa the best business decision. The league reportedly was losing about $30 million a season. ESPN.com's Len Pasquarelli wrote after the league's disbandment in 2007, "Recently, the European League became far less a laboratory for player development and more an exercise in amassing exemptions for NFL summer training camps. There weren't many NFL team officials who adhered to the original intent anymore." Pasquarelli also named J.T. O'Sullivan as the best 2007 NFL Europa player, at a time when O'Sullivan was no better than third-choice quarterback at the Chicago Bears. According to Pasquarelli, NFL Europe and NFL Europa simply stopped producing players with even scant name recognition, and most coaches would prefer to develop their players themselves. NFL Europa was credited with giving training to coaching interns and game officials, and as a useful testing ground for potential NFL rule changes. The NFL announced plans for a stronger international focus on regular season games outside the United States. The NFL International Series began in October 2007 at Wembley, London, and continues today. The Bills-Toronto Series started in 2008. However, no mainland European country has hosted any NFL games for 20 years, since Germany hosted exhibition games from 1991 to Euro 94. Teams, all competing teams, 1991 to Euro 92. The league existed in two forms: the 10-team Transatlantic League in 1991 and 1992, then the 6-team format in Europe only from 1995 to 2007. The three European teams from 1991 to Euro 92, Frankfurt, Barcelona and London, were the only original teams to continue playing when the league was resurrected in 1995. By 2007, only the Frankfurt Galaxy remained of the original WLAF teams. Experimental rules: the NFL has traditionally used a sudden death format for overtime. Regular season games have a single period of overtime during which the first team to score wins the game. If neither team scores, the game is declared a tie. In postseason games, overtime is extended indefinitely until one team scores. In NFL Europa, however, the overtime period lasted for 10 minutes with the requirement that each team must have the opportunity of possession at least once. So, in NFL Europa, it was possible for one team to score in overtime then have to kick off to the opponent and give them a chance to either equalize or win the game. The winner was the team with the highest score after both teams had had possession. If the score was even after the second team's possession, the overtime would continue as sudden death. If still tied after 10 minutes, the game ends as a tie. Only two games ever remained tied after overtime in WLAF NFL Europa history: London Monarchs vs Rhein-Fire in Week 4 of the 1992 season, and Berlin Thunder at Hamburg Sea Devils, on April 1, 2006. The score of both games was 17-17. The NFL itself would later use similar rules for overtime possession, but sudden death would still apply if one team scores a touchdown, rather than a field goal, on their first possession. With association football being the traditionally popular sport in Europe and American football being a relative newcomer, the rules were changed slightly to encourage a greater element of kicking, which was intended to make the game more enjoyable for soccer and rugby fans. The league did this by awarding 4 points to field goals of more than 50 yards, as opposed to 3 points in the NFL. This had the interesting side effect that a touchdown and point after lead could be equaled by one regular field goal along with a long field goal. In the 1995 season, in every team's home games, at least 7 local players had to be playing or on the bench. In the years before 2006, Each team had to field at least one player of non-American extraction, called a national player, on every down of every other series. In 2006 the rule was changed to every series. In addition to European players, a number of Mexican and Japanese players played as national players. Up until the 2004 season, kicked conversion attempts and short field goals were attempted by national players. Since there are few European players who have had the chance to compete at a level comparable to U.S. college football and the NFL, many, if not most, of the European players ended up as kickers. Notable national players included Scott McCready, an English wide receiver who played some preseason games for the New England Patriots. The Claymores wide receiver Scott Cooper, who played a preseason game for the Chicago Bears. Konstantin Ritzmann, a German defensive end who had played for the University of Tennessee. And Rob Hart, an English rugby player who became a place kicker and kicked barefoot. Running back Victory Buberdijk played for the Monarchs from 1991 to Euro 98, becoming the first Brit to score in the World League in 1991. Ex-Tottenham Hotspur striker Clive Allen also kicked for the Monarchs, while fellow footballers Geza Esangoy, Manfred Bergsma, one-quarter Lair and Silvio De Liberto kicked for the Barcelona Dragons, Rhein Fire and Amsterdam Admirals respectively. Uniforms. The 1995 WLAF relaunch featured uniforms with a significantly different look from what is traditionally associated with American football. Instead of the full-size numbers centered on the front of the jersey, the team logos took precedence, with a smaller number over the right collarbone area. The Monarchs reverted to the traditional look in 1997 and the rest of the league followed a year later. The 1998 uniform designs were thought to appeal to continental tastes. Television coverage. 1991 to Euro 92, USA Network carried most of the WLAF games on Saturday and Monday nights in the 1991 season and again on Saturday nights for the 1992 season. Diana Nyad served as the network's host for pregame and halftime. The network premiered the helmet cam to TV audiences. ABC Sports broadcast some games in both seasons, mostly on Sunday afternoons. ABC showed the 1991 World Bowl, while USA carried the game in 1992. The reported cost of the contracts varied. The LA Times said that ABC had paid $28 million for 2 years, and USA $25 million. For the 1992 season, the WLAF charged each network less for broadcasting rights. The New York Times reported that ABC's annual fee went down from $12 million to $3 million, and USA's from $14 million to $10 million. The ABC coverage's average ratings fell from 1991 to 1992, from around 2.1 to 1.7, and USA's from 1.2 to 1.1. Both networks asked the WLAF to expand into 2 major U.S. markets for 1993. 1991 season coverage in Europe was mostly on satellite. Eurosport showed games on delay and Super Channel showed the 1991 World Bowl. Channel 4 showed half-hour highlights of Monarchs games on Saturday mornings. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Larry H. wrote, "The only way a Monarchs fan could watch the team's first-round playoff game from the Meadowlands was to go to Wembley to see it on closed circuit." Coverage in Canada was led by RDS, a French-language broadcaster, which focused on Montreal Machine games. 1995 to Euro 2007, although the league no longer had any U.S. teams, American television coverage continued until the end. Fox Sports had become a co-owner of the league, and from 1995 to 1998 the primary TV carrier was FX, which carried 2 games a week, on Saturday and Sunday. From 1995 to 2005, Fox showed the World Bowl in 2 or 3 regular season games annually. From 1999 to 2004, Fox Sports Net showed a game of the week on Saturday, with direct viewers receiving additional live games on channels that normally carried NFL Sunday Ticket. In 2005, NFL Network began showing all regular season games either live or on tape delay, and this continued until the league folded. NFL Network also showed the 2006 and 2007 title games. The revived WLAF's UK coverage was mainly on Sky Sports, with coverage also on Channel 4, STV, and Carlton. 8 European continental broadcasters also showed coverage, including Germany's Vox and DSF. Announcers who called NFL Europe games over the years included Kurt Menefee, Nick Holling, Ari Wolf, Troy Aikman, Daryl Moose Johnston, Michael Rigi, and Brenton Buckner. Europass, an offshoot of Field Pass, broadcast internet video of games, free of charge, in the league's later years. Stadiums, North America, Europe, attendances, presidents, Tex Schramm April 18, 1989 October 10, 1990, Mike Lynn October 10, 1990 July 30, 1991, Joe Bailey 1992, Mark Lawrie September 12, 1994 1995, Oliver Luck July 13, 1995 1999, Bill Peterson November 8, 1999 2000, John Beek November 1, 2000 2004. Notes and references. See also, National Football League International Series, World Bowl, European Football League, List of leagues of American football, Sports League attendances, external links, Historical site index for WLAF and NFL Europa, WLAF and NFL Europa history at the Football Database, McGill's World League of American Football website, http www.worldleagueofamericanfootball.com, Nature's Images Photography Euro photos of the Frankfurt Galaxy home games, http www.frankfurtgalaxy.u, Lee's Autograph Hall of Fame Euro photos of a San Antonio Riders home game with team history, http lee.n8d.com/p = 1336.